So here I am again. Said I was not going to talk about behaviors. I guess people can say I'm lying. But I was getting my stuff gathered up for camping tomorrow. And I tuned in. I seen, Natasha was doing a live. I know she's been off for a few days. And Mrs. Portland was saying thank you. That's how I knew she was doing a live. Mrs. Portland said thank you for the support. And yeah, I do listen. I do. People say I'm stalking. I talk about behaviors. So, anyways, I gotta watch and listen if I'm gonna talk about behaviors. But, anyways, I was. Help me to understand this because I don't. I don't understand. Um, we all know what Mrs. Portland did to Natasha, okay? It wasn't right. Now, I've said in my videos before that when Natasha went back and clapped back at Mrs. Portland, to me it was below the belt, okay? You can clap back, but sometimes you just go too low. You do. And when she would go at Mrs. Portland, in my opinion, it was going too low. But in Natasha's defense, Mrs. Portland, went very low. And Natasha would wait and, she wouldn't respond back to a lot of Mrs. Portland's videos and community posts. She does have that tougher skin than a lot of people out here in these YouTube streets. So she would wait for a while, but when she clapped back hard. And even when she ignored Mrs. Portland, it would just get worse. That's the facts. Even if you ignore her, because Natasha did, it got worse. Now, I've seen some people in some chats that will say, well, if you ignore her, she'll stop. No, she didn't. She didn't to Natasha. She doesn't to the other people. Maybe, if you ignore her for maybe a month, okay? Maybe, but that's after she is getting really ugly, putting your apartment complex out there, talking about, your kids, hoping that they get the C virus, just being really nasty. But some of the things that Natasha has, said tonight, I'm just really floored. And again, in my opinion, she's only saying it because she has an issue with Noodle Mash now. Now, she didn't say any of this stuff when she was friends with Noodle Mash, just like the other creator who has got this, newfound friendship and devotion and wants to help Mrs. Portland, right? That's also in Natasha's community. When all this was happening with Natasha, and Mrs. Portland was going after her, and when Noodle Mash was friends with Natasha, and Mrs. Portland was going after Noodle Mash, Natasha didn't feel this way one bit. She was on Noodle Mash's side. She seen Noodle Mash's proof. And, Noodle Mash put it out there. And so she stood up for Noodle Mash. She knows that when Mrs. Portland was going at Noodle, right? Noodle wasn't going at Mrs. Portland. She wasn't calling Mrs. Portland vile names or anything like that. She was standing up for herself when Mrs. Portland was putting all this stuff out there, right? Community posts, videos. And Natasha was okay with it. Now, I don't know what went on behind the scenes with Noodle Mash and Natasha. You know, what they talked about. You know, have no clue when it came to Mrs. Portland. But Natasha was definitely on Noodle Mash's side. We know that. We heard it. She, I'm sure, talked and seen and all this stuff. But now she's changing her tune, right? She's saying that, well, now that I stepped back and looked at, no. It's because you had a falling out with Noodle Mash. Let's be real here. Noodle Mash is now talking to people that you don't like. Okay, this is how it works in this drama community. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Because if you were still friends with Noodle Mash, you would still be on her side and you would be saying Mrs. Portland is being vile and Noodle Mash is not talking shit. She's just defending herself. And Mrs. Portland is putting out all this nasty stuff. And Noodle Mash isn't doing this. All right? That's a fact. No matter if she wants to admit it or not, it's only because she had a falling out with Noodle Mash. And then she wants to say that, you know, all these people in the community, well, not all, but a lot of people seen this and seen that when she came in. We seen the chat. All these people loved Noodle Mash until Natasha didn't anymore. And then they turned on her. Just like everybody else that Natasha had a falling out with. Another fact. Okay? It's just how it is. That's the price you pay to be in Natasha's community. If you like somebody, well, if Natasha has a falling out with them, you might as well forget about that friendship if you want to stay in her community. That's just how it is. You have to pick a side. You have to. You can't be friends with both. You just can't. It's not going to work. Natasha's not going to allow it. You have to pick a side. That's another fact, okay? So she goes on to say that, you know, she believes Mrs. Portland, that Noodle was the bully. Really? Natasha knows. She is very well aware of all the lies that Mrs. Portland has put out there. She has seen, she's lied on her. Okay? Can Natasha put out one lie that Noodle has said besides what she already put out there about, you know, where she lives because of what Mrs. Portland did? Besides that, can Natasha say one lie that Noodle Mash has put out there compared to what Mrs. Portland has put out? I would like an answer to that. I seen the video. A lot of people have seen the video that I mentioned in my last video about Mrs. Portland putting the video out there that's long gone. It was on her last channel where she said, when she introduced Noodle to her husband, that this is the one that stood up for her and never bullied her in high school. The only one that didn't bully her. She herself put that out there, okay? She herself. So anyways, moving along from that, what I got out of Natasha's video when she's talking about Mrs. Portland is kind of what Mrs. Portland did. Me. She made it about herself. I know how it feels because I'm attacked all the time. I know how it feels because of, Mrs. Portland selling her stuff I know how it feels because of my makeup sales. She kind of twisted it around to be about herself. Now, I do agree with a few things that Natasha said. Absolutely do. When it comes to, like, the makeup sales, and when it comes to Mrs. Portland's crafts, when you're into resale or you're selling your crafts, I'm sorry, she is right. You can charge whatever you want. If your people want to pay, whatever you're charging for it, they have every right to do it. Even if you can get it cheaper somewhere else, they are supporting who they like. I mean, they can Google and pay for it cheaper elsewhere. Some of the prices, yes, like with the makeup, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the community is the one that is paying Natasha, right? They're like her employer, so they're paying her. So I would think that, just my opinion, that she would give them a bigger break and give it to them cheaper than where they could, Google it and find it, like on eBay or Poshmark or something like that. But that's just my opinion. But my opinion doesn't mean squat. She is correct. When you're in the resale business, you're in it to make money, and she can charge whatever she wants. And her people can, they're choosing to give it to Natasha and not somebody else out there on social media on a platform that is selling the same product, even though it might be cheaper. That is a fact. She is right about that. That's like Mrs. Portland. She can charge whatever she wants for her crafts. The one thing I don't agree with is the shipping. Natasha's like, she can charge whatever she wants for shipping. But the thing is Mrs. Portland is lying about the shipping. And Natasha should know that because they ship out a lot of stuff, right? It's absolutely one thing to, say shipping is going to be this or whatever. No, you have to be pretty precise about what shipping is going to be. If you're going to sell products, now Natasha, I think because she sells her products for a pretty decent amount, I think she undercuts her shipping, right? Because she charges a flat rate of $5 no matter how much you get. So I think she loses out money on shipping because, the products are a higher price. That's how she chooses to do it. But Mrs. Portland she's overcharging on her shipping. But the problem is she's lying about it. Okay? A little tiny print does not cost $10 to ship. Another bigger print or whatever does not cost $20 to ship. It does, I don't think anybody has a problem on what she wants to charge for her craft. She can charge $100 for her craft, for her painting. She should be able to charge whatever she wants. She's hand making them, and it's nobody's business what she charges for her handmade craft. That's a fact, okay? The problem is lying about the shipping cost. Charge a little bit more. Charge a little bit more for your craft, but make sure that you're not lying about shipping cost. All right? And a lot of times what you have to do, and I'm finding this out, is you get a scale or whatever. You get your box, and then there's different, UPS, FedEx, whatever. And then you find out from your customer, you find out what is the cheapest route to ship for your customer. That's the way to go, and that's something she needs to do. But what she's saying is that when she shipped a product out or whatever, that's what it cost. We know that is not true, because she's saying that they're in Oregon, in her state, that's how much it costs to ship out. And that's a lie. You can't do that. You can't lie to people when, and that's something that Natasha didn't point out. She's like, if people want to pay that much for shipping, no, that's not right. And that should not be advice that she gives Mrs. Portland, that it's okay to lie on how much it costs to ship. Okay? And that's what she's doing. She's lying about shipping cost. Like I said, charge whatever you want for your craft. That's nobody's business. But don't lie about shipping cost. Okay? That is not right. I don't even know if you can get in trouble for that. I don't know. So, moving along from that, Natasha also said that Mrs. Portland, all these people are attacking Mrs. Portland and she's just wanting to do her crafts or whatever. I've said this before. No, that's a lie. Mrs. Portland has been on other panels and she knows this because it was a couple of creators that's in her community, right? And she's talking and lying about other people and spreading rumors, nasty rumors, and trying to go real life on them, right? Calling somebody, saying that they were really a man when they're a woman, but, she heard this rumor and heard that they were pregnant and it's a black man. She's starting the drama. And also, she was talking about noodle mash on these other panels. Absolutely. So it's okay for Natasha to clap back at other people if they talk about her. But she's saying, it's not okay for other people to do the same to Mrs. Portland. She sure did to Mrs. Portland. But she's saying it's not okay because Noodle Mash did a little video. And she's saying she knew that it was going to trigger Mrs. Portland. Well, how many times did Natasha really trigger Mrs. Portland and went really below the belt? Noodle Mash didn't do that. She's never bashed her looks. She's never talked about her parenting like Natasha did. I don't even know if Noodle Mash ever talked really about her parenting. She has never called her vile names. But because Noodle Mash is defending some of the crap that Mrs. Portland is putting out there on community posts and videos and going on other people's panels and doing it, Noodle isn't allowed to make a little video. She's not allowed to talk about it on her channel. She's supposed to be quiet, but Natasha's allowed to do it, right? Natasha's allowed to, on her channel, she's allowed to talk about other she started talking about whiskey. Yeah, she's allowed to talk about other creators and their drama that has nothing to do with her at all. Not a thing, right? She's allowed to do it. But she's telling Noodle, no, you shouldn't do it because you know that it's going to make her mad and trigger her. Where's the logic in that? Because, let's see, there is no logic in that, okay? Because if you were still friends with Noodle, you absolutely would have her back and you would be talking about Mrs. Portland and probably saying some very vile things about her with all the community posts she's been putting up and deleting. I don't know. You said you've been in bed for the last 2 days. So you wouldn't have been seeing everything that she's been putting up and deleting and putting up and deleting and putting up and deleting, not only about Noodle, but about a lot of other people. And again, she's going on other panels. And before she had the falling out with some of the other creators, she was doing the same, talking about other people. Because you said before in one of your videos, I don't know why these people are going. She's just doing her crafting. This is before she was getting really nasty on her videos and community posts. You're like, I don't know why people are going after her. She's not doing anything on her channel. No, she wasn't. She was doing it on other panels, talking about everybody else, causing the drama on everybody else's panel, lying on other people, okay? Just like she did to Natasha. So, as long as it's not being done to Natasha, it's okay to do it to everybody else, right? It's okay. Now, she wants to talk about Portland archives, and what did she call her? A skank? And she called Noodle Mash a skank too, yeah. She's real good about calling everybody else these vile names. I mean, maybe her and Mrs. Portland should be BFFs. You know, they like going and calling those names, right? They like getting vile, nasty, foul mouth, talking about, you know, I see where Mrs. Portland gets a lot of her obsession with Natasha, you know, talking about people being jealous and talking about everybody's crafts being crappy. And I'm sorry, again, Natasha, you might not be creative. You might not have ever done any crafts, you know, with the family, or maybe you don't know how to do any. But Noodle does wonderful work. It's not crappy. That takes talent, okay? A lot of the creators that do crafts, it takes, you know, being creative instead of just sitting, doing nothing and dragging people and calling them foul names and talking about everybody else all the time, on how, you know, they're crap and their channels suck and they have no content without you and they're tanking, their channels are tanking. I mean, that's what Miss Portland's saying now too. You know, nobody has content without her and they're jealous of her and their crafts suck. I mean, she's learning from the best, I guess. And talking about money all the time. That's another thing. So, good luck with her. I mean, this is going to be your third go around with her. You might say, well, she's not really welcome in the community, and you know, you always had a soft spot for her. Well, could have fooled me with some of the stuff you said. I mean, I get it. Some of the stuff she said about you and your family, I'm sorry, to me, that's unforgivable. Unforgivable if someone said stuff like that about my children. No, ma'am. You don't talk like that about my kids and ever be part of my circle ever again. That's where I draw the line. That's where my boundaries are. Okay? Because if you did it once, you're going to do it again. All right? That's the truth. That's what's wrong in this drama circle. For some reason, people just, they're like, well, I know how to forgive. Yeah, I can forgive, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bring you back in to do it again. Why would you? Because there's a lot of backstabbing. This is all fake. This is all fake. Because I doubt in real life if somebody that you had a friendship with would be talking about your family, your kids like that, that you would ever let them around your kids or family and let them be, in your circle. Don't think that would happen. If you do, I don't know. I don't know. I would never allow it. No. Mm-mm. Stay away from me. Stay away from my family. I would not put my family, my children, around that toxic environment. No. So, anyways, she wants to call, like I said, Portland Archives out about, attacking Mrs. Portland with these videos and stuff. You just keep making videos and videos about her, triggering her, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the thing, and I said this in a video before. You have at least 2 creators that are your supporters that made a ton of videos about Mrs. Portland, right? One of them way more than Portland Archives could ever dream of making. And the other one, at least 60 some videos, because you guys use those to make fun of her on panel. Literally, you used it for content. And that was okay, though. That was okay. Why is it okay? Because they were part of your community? Because you didn't like her at the time? And the videos are pretty similar, right? They're calling her out on a lot of her lies, but a lot of them are just basically making fun of her. Literally making fun of her. So, what's the difference? I would like to know. What's the difference? Because they're part of your community and that's okay? They might not be doing them right now. At this moment, one of them did some not too long ago. They did some more videos, but they were doing them all the time. One creator, they did over 140 or 100, and let me think. I was counting. I lost track at, I think it was like 120. I stopped counting. Yeah. That's more than Portland Archives has ever done, right? And then the other one, they did over 60 videos on Mrs. Portland alone. And most of them were making fun of her. And yes, calling her out on her lies. So what is the difference? That's what I would like to know. What is the difference? Like, we know what the difference is. You like them, but you guys would pull those up and play them for content. And everybody, would laugh and joke and have a good old time watching those videos. Right? Up on panel. Thought it was hilarious. So, what do you call that? Bullying, harassing, making fun of her, poking at her, poking the bear. And she's seen them all. They upset her. But now that somebody else is doing it, calling her out on some of the things. And I mean, some of those videos were pretty bad that we seen, right? Yeah. One of them is what called out her thing last Christmas. That's how we found out the truth, and she had to come out with her truth. Yeah, that all came out. Don't you think that was kind of traumatic for her? Because now that is something that keeps going on and on and on about her personal life. Yeah. Now, the one thing that I don't agree with, and this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say because I said this is going to be a quick video. is the trolls. The ones who are calling these welfare checks. There was no reason to call a welfare check on Mrs. P. Okay? This is a waste. I mean, it's Friday night, guys. And why I say it's a Friday night is because, it's kind of a given on the weekend. You get more crime. But even if it wasn't a weekend, there was no reason for anybody to call a welfare check on Mrs. Portland. Why are you guys doing this? Why? And you're getting some trolls that, and when I say trolls, I'm talking people that are actually trolling her and doing some harassing things. I'm not talking about people that are clapping back. I'm talking about trolls. You don't need to do that to someone that does have mental disabilities. Okay? You don't need to be doing that to anybody, really. That is being a bully, too. Okay? But whoever called, that is taken away from resources. Those cops that showed up, they could have been, needed elsewhere, maybe across town. You took them away to do what? To do what? To upset Mrs. P even more. She doesn't need that. And they're probably getting sick of this. And it's getting ridiculous. You're going real live, okay? And you're being a troll. And again, you're taking away resources that could be used elsewhere. It's absolutely crazy. So you real trolls that are doing the harassing, you need to stop. There's no need for it. She wasn't showing, besides her being upset, she wasn't showing that she was going to harm herself or harm anybody else. It was totally unnecessary. So with that, I'm going to go because I need to pack up my stuff to go camping tomorrow. And I am going to put out a video. I might do it if I get away for a little bit. I'm going to do, some nature. When I go camping, I like to do a little bit of the nature, just show nature. Just kind of break things up a little bit. But I am going to put out another video. It's going to be short on Leticia. She is losing it. I am telling you. I thought that it was going to be the end of our journey with Leticia. But she is... I don't know if this is something she is doing to try to do an insanity plea, or if she has just really lost it. She's put out a couple of videos, and I do want to go over that. So I might do it. I mean, it's not going to be a long video, so I might do it while I'm camping. I'm going camping with some friends and family. So when I do one of my walks, I might do it then while I'm just walking. We'll see. Because like I said, I don't do any of my videos around my family at all. So we'll just catch up tomorrow on my camping trip.